Good morning, Craig. How are you?
I am good. Good morning. Quick turnaround from last night to today. So
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's a much easier turnaround given the win in 10 innings. Magic number down to 8. What are you looking for down the stretch right in here as you're preparing, I'm sure, scouting for the playoffs, but wanting to make sure you get in before that happens?
yeah, I think the most important thing that we can do is keep the focus on the day to day. You talk in the off season about building a roster that's capable of making the postseason and a deep postseason run, and we talk about playing meaningful games in September. And now that we're in the midst of it, there's a ton of energy and enthusiasm around the park. It's a fun place to show up at every day. But I think from my perspective, the coaching staff, the players, it's the focus on what we have to do and how we can execute today to win the game.
And, we do a lot of this, what's a successful season? Is just making the playoffs enough? Where do you stand on how do you gauge the season when it comes to your role as the baseball czar for the organization? Is it just making the playoffs? Is it, advancing a series? How do you gauge what would be a successful season for the Red Sox?
Yeah, I think you have to go back to our stated goals, and we tried to build a roster that we felt could compete for the division, could make the postseason, and was capable of a deep postseason run. We can look at our record today and say our record in 2025 is going to be an improvement relative to 2024, but that's not what our goals were. So, I think we need to finish strong here. We need to make the postseason, and we should prime ourselves for a deep postseason run.
Craig, when you look at finishing strong, you guys ultimately have kind of backed yourself into a corner a little bit because of some earlier series that I think, a lot of us expected you to win. I think Arizona was one of them. I forget the other one that we had talked about. Obviously, the Yankees series and that. What's the message been to that team as far as, like being backed in a corner right now?
Yeah, well, we can't go back and win the games that that we lost. But in the moment, you always think about, man, this one, this one hurts, or this was a very winnable game, and you hope that you're not looking back at the end of the season and thinking that you're a game away or 2 games away from being where you want to be. But in terms of backing ourselves into a corner, I'm not sure that that's the way the players or the staff see it. For 2 reasons. One is because this is a group that has overcome a ton of adversity and challenges and has shown a ton of resilience, whether that's injuries, guys, important pieces being out for lengthy periods of time. And then the other is because I think that could force you to lose sight of the small things that you need to do to execute, in order to win. And we've had chances to win a lot of the games that you just brought up. We've had traffic on the bases. We've had some good at bats to put ourselves in position to score runs. And what we haven't done is gotten the big hit or put the ball in play to get a run across the board. Fortunately, we were able to do that last night. But I think that focus on execution is where we should be spending our time.
Craig, the return of Wilyer Abreu seems to keep getting pushed. Is this just a precaution to make sure he's fully ready to come back? Is it the timing of where you're at in the season, or is he facing setbacks?
He's not facing setbacks. I think we're trying to exercise the right amount of caution, but also recognize where we are in the season and the importance of getting him back and what he means in our lineup. The second that we can write his name into the middle of our lineup, we give ourselves a guy that can hit the ball out of the park, is capable of 25 to 30 home run potential. But Cavs they're fickle, and it seems like we've been in this kind of day-to-day period for a few weeks now. But he's making pretty steady progress. He's had some aggressive base running and swings earlier in the week. And, we want to make sure that when he comes back, he's capable of helping us and contributing.
Craig, I know we spoke with you, or I asked you a couple weeks ago about the rotation, balancing, getting guys ready for the wild card round or the first round of the playoffs, as opposed to pursuing the division championship and getting seeding. Has your mindset shifted at all? Is it all about getting, Crochet the ample amount of rest ready for that first playoff game, or is it, still trying to win every game you can right now?
Yeah, I think right now, as kind of dictated by the way that we've mapped out the rotation, we've got to win these games. We've got to get ourselves in before we worry about how we're set up once we're there. And getting guys on regular rest, and making sure that the top of our rotation is touching the ball as many times as possible, in this last week and a half is really important. And then we'll figure out how we can buy ourselves some rest. We've got some off days coming up that we'll be able to take advantage of. If we need to keep somebody short, we can always do that. But the way that Connolly has stepped into the rotation also gives us quite a bit of optimism and confidence for how we're going to stack up no matter how the rotation falls.
And you brought up Connolly early, got taken out early, no pun intended, with 80 pitches. Is that another case where you're telling Cora that you need to take him out here? We're at this pitch limit, or how did that work that night?
Yeah, so Alex, Andrew, and I, alongside medical staff, we're always talking about workloads and what we think guys are capable of, and then Alex, Andrew, and I will talk through some different scenarios and strategies before the game happens. But I think we all have been doing this long enough to recognize that a game is fluid, and once the game starts, like, the manager has the ability to make in-game decisions. And Alex felt like there was an opportunity to create a good matchup with Weiss. It didn't work out, but if it had, then we would have all been applauding that. And so I think we saw last night Alex handle the bullpen management deftly and put ourselves in a really good position to win.
Just quickly on that, though. So in the playoffs, if you are to get there, does the analytics play a bigger role, or do you give it more to the field given the short sample size of each of these series and the must-win nature of those games?
I think the way that I see this is, the job of the front office, the analysts, is to try to provide our staff with as much information as we can, recognizing that once the first pitch is thrown, it's on the field staff to make decisions. And Alex has done a really good job with that, marrying the information that we're able to work through and provide together with recognizing that there are things that come up in games that force you to make real-time adjustments. And sometimes we talk through those once the game is over, and we have really productive conversations just about some of the things that came up and how we react to them. But ultimately, I've got a ton of confidence in Alex's in-game decision making.
Craig, when you look at your team, where is Roman Anthony as far as maybe somebody that you could see playing in the postseason? Obviously, if you guys get there, what's his status looking like?
Yeah, so he's making progress, albeit slow but steady progress, just in terms of the symptoms subsiding, feeling a lot more comfortable, activity ramping up. I know a lot has been made of his walks over the last few days, but I think there's also been a noticeable shift just in the way that Roman is thinking about the injury and thinking about his timeline, and he is committed doing everything he possibly can to getting back on the field. And obviously that's only going to be a boom to what we're trying to do here.
Craig, Curtis brought up Connolly early, and then Kyle Harrison, Peyton Tolley being put into the bullpen. What do you see as the future for him? Because his first outing was so great, and then things kind of fell off. What's the future look like for Peyton Tolley?
Yes, we still have a ton of confidence in his ability to be an impact major league starting pitcher. This is a situation where we're trying to give ourselves the best chance of winning every game possible. And Connolly, kind of has the true starter mix right now. I think we've seen that manifest over his two starts. And Kyle Harrison is, he's pitched as a starter in the big leagues. And some of the additions to his repertoire, we feel like will give him the ability to navigate a lineup a few times. And Peyton just got, this big fastball that we think can play really well out of the pen and not just cover innings, but actually, be a weapon and provide real impact out of the pen. So that's what went into those decisions.
What did you take from Cora's comments recently saying he wants to stop all the talk about October?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I took that was as the manager, he needs to be consumed with the day-to-day and the focus on preparing for tonight's game to give ourselves the best chance possible to win it. So I think that a lot was made out of that, and was this questioning kind of the confidence in the team or any of that? And I just look at that as what is the role of the manager, and it's prepare our players to play as well as they can every single day. And if you're thinking about a week from now or 2 weeks from now, it's going to be really hard to focus on the present.
Craig, that's very interesting, because I would agree that the moment you're in is for the managers and the players to focus on that. But for somebody in the front office like yourself, you have to not only think about the present, but you also have to think about the future. When you look at this team, and whether it's you or Cora talking about the young talent that you have, can we expect as fans for you guys to be super aggressive in the offseason, knowing that you have this young talent and you want to bolster this team with adding some pieces and being very aggressive?
Yeah, so I think going back to that first comment that the manager is thinking about the present and the day-to-day, and my job is to try to balance the short term with the long term. Like, I think that's exactly right, and I've talked a lot about how Alex and I have different jobs, and we need to complement each other. But now, in terms of what the off season, what the future holds, I do think that the outlook for this organization is incredibly positive. We can see kind of the brand of baseball that we're looking to play, this exciting, young, athletic, dynamic group that should be cornerstones for a really long time. And our job in the front office is to supplement that group with talent that can help us put us over the edge. So we're going to explore every opportunity to bolster the roster, to improve, because we believe our window of contention is upon us right now.
All right, Craig. Well, Greg will be back next week, and he just wants to know when you guys clinch which bar to go to. So you can just pass that along to Ken or someone. We'll figure that out. But good luck today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.